Okay, today I want to try and shed some light on feeding, at least from a novice point of view, which I still am. This is already dissolved in water, and it's a 20-20-20 solution, and it's a feed from my grower, my cellar, and it's nitrogen, potassium, and sodium, I believe. Check that out. It means that the 20-20-20 stands for the percentage of the fertilizer, so that's 20% nitrogen and so on and so on. There are some trace elements. I'm gonna put a link in the description to a website that has an explanation on what trace elements are and what they are doing in the plants in terms of transportation of other nutrients, which is very important. Now this is very hard to get a recipe. This comes from a company called ICL, and this is Peter's all-purpose fertilizer, and again it is 20-20-20 plus trace elements, and it took me 4 months and 5 emails before they reluctantly gave away their secrets, which aren't secrets at all because it's readily available on the internet. And just for comparison, this stuff, I'm sure most of you know this, this is also an all-purpose food, and the NPK values are 7, 2 and 7, which is much lower than this one. And this one is an orchid feed and is generic, and it had even less. This has a 5-6-7 ratio, which I'm not going to use. I already dissolved this because this is granulate. It takes a few hours to dissolve completely in the water, and I won't wait that long. So I dissolved it in, let's say, a pint of water, half a liter. Yeah, half a liter. And it's not really important how much I used, because this contains about half of such a box, and I topped it off with water and let it sit for a few hours. So it's immediately usable. And in the end, the only thing that counts is the TDS. The amount of feed stays the same. It's 20-20-20. Even if I dissolve it in a liter or 1.5 liters, it's still the same. It's the TDS that counts. And if you follow the instructions that are on here, it's in Dutch, but it says 1 gram per liter water and 1 time per 2 weeks for all purpose. Well, if you take normal water, and I'm going to show you, this will be way too much. And to prove it, here is a cup of normal tap water. This is the tap water I use at home. And this is what I use to drink, make coffee, cook my food. And to know your TDS, you need a TDS meter. It is about 20 euros. And you also need a pH meter, but I don't have one, so I'm going to leave that out of the equation. If you have one, depending on the kind of plants you have, somewhere between 5.4 and 6 point something, that should be a good pH. But we're now gonna do the TDS. So I'm gonna measure my tap water, stick it in, and it gives you a TDS, and I'm gonna press hold. So this is a TDS of 275. That means that per million parts, 275 parts are stuff. And in this case, it's calcium, magnesium, some chlorine, all kinds of stuff orchids don't like. So this is the TDS of normal tap water, and now I'm going to measure the TDS of my RO water. And here you can see it's 12. So I'm going to round that down to 10, so it's easy for measuring and calculating, at which I'm terrible. Now you don't have to screw around with a pipette like this, that comes later. I'm going to do a feed for my mounts. They had a flush yesterday, so yeah, and these are basically fed every day. So I'm going to make a very low feed, and once again, I don't base this on anything, it's just a feeling I have. How to feed your orchids is extremely vague on the internet. So this is my way. Okay. So the water was 10 and I wanted somewhere around 50, maybe 40. So I'm gonna add a little bit, just a splash. I'm gonna whisk it. Now the TDS was 10. Now that little splash raised it by 34. So I'm gonna leave it at this. This is a very low feed. This is just, if we take away the TDS of the water, it is only a TDS of, yeah, 34. So that's very low, but I'm going to add something which is missing from all fertilizers, and that's this calcium and magnesium. And this is a bit tricky because one of them is really juicy and I constantly forget which one. So I'm going to add calcium first, and we had a TDS of 44 and I'm going to push that up till about 60. Oh, 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. I'm going to whisk it again. And if I'm correct, the TDS should be somewhere around 55 or 60. How? How? No. There were only 3 drops and the TDS is raised to about 60. So you can distract 10 and now I'm going to add magnesium. Make sure this goes back in the bottle and clean it. Okay, magnesium. Calcium and magnesium are important for transportation of certain nutrients because certain nutrients are mobile and non-mobile, and that means that certain nutrients, I'm not sure which one, I should look that up, but certain nutrients come into the plant and stay where they are brought. And they can be, let's say it's transported to a leaf, then if it's a non-mobile, then the plant isn't able to pull it back when it needs it. And for mobile nutrients, if they are sent to a leaf and the plant needs it, it can retract it from the leaf, so nothing goes to waste. And calcium and magnesium both help with that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now let's see. We had a TDS of 57. Let's see what it does now. I think it's about 75. Okay, 66. We can add a little more. 1, 2. Oh, that was 3. $73. Okay, this is for my mouse. If you use it on potted orchids, the TDS should be higher, so you add a little more of this and raise it up to the point you want it. Now if I make a mistake and someone wants to give me a slap on the wrist, please do. because as I said, this is one of the most vague subjects in growing, and together with lighting, which I'm not gonna touch. Okay, water for my mounts. I make this as low as possible because I do this every day. In nature they get fed every day, they get watered every day, and yeah, I think I'm doing something good because I have flower spikes, I have tons of new growth, really a lot of new roots. So I think I got the feeding figured out. Anything more? No, this should cover it. I hope this helps a bit. Before I forget, if you don't have a TDS meter and not an RO unit, I have been giving my plants normal tap water for months and they still live, barely. But if you do this to the grower specification, you're gonna burn your roots, because when I just got my TDS meter, I measured what it would have been if I do 1 gram per liter water. This is 5 liters, so this should have been 5 grams, and that gives me a TDS of about 2000, and that's ridiculous. So make sure, get a TDS meter, they're not expensive. Yeah, and an RO unit, that's really important, because normal tap water is way too rich. Oh. So, don't have anything else. That's about it. Feeding time. I'm gonna do a quick Roger bit on the end of the video. When I just checked my tap water, I told that it contains calcium and magnesium, and I also said that all orchid feed lacks calcium and magnesium. I need to explain that. The calcium and magnesium in my tap water is not chelated, and that's a difficult word for, well, I really don't know, I should look that up, but it means that unchelated calcium and magnesium is non-usable for plants. They just can't absorb it, so you need a chelated calcium and magnesium, and these two are. These can be taken up by plants, so it's been treated, and that's the Roger bit. Okay, thank you.